the space that a form or shape occupies in an artwork. Correct response. Positive space is the most accurate answer.
Dash context involves the artist's personal sentiments.
Well reasoned. Primary is the correct choice.
It is used to give beauty and express emotions in art.
On track. Color is the correct answer.
Creating an assemblage of tiny dots to create imagery.
Great job. Stippling is the accurate answer.
Egyptian funerary portraits were done in what medium?
Good job. Your answer in caustic works well here.
Arts are for the ritual purposes or for everyday use.
Excellent choice. Ethnic arts is the right answer.
An isometric drawing shows objects in dash dimensions. Strong choice. 3 is the right answer.
Which drawing technique includes freehand isometric?
You got it? Your choice isometric drawing is right.
The relation of the parts of an artwork to the whole.
Correct. Proportion is the right answer. Posters relays information through texts and audios. Nicely done. Disagree is a solid answer.
What was Giacometti really good at using in his art?
Perfect. Lines is the correct choice.
How many different hobbies does Sarah mention having? Bravo, 3 is the answer.
Which of the choices below are a medium for drawing?
Well done. Graphite pencil is the right choice. Which of the following is a type of oblique drawing?
Solid response. Both cavalier and cabinet is a valid choice.
Which date would be included in the Renaissance era?
Right again. 1400 is a valid answer.
Concerned with beauty or the appreciation of beauty? Valid point. Aesthetics is true. The technique using small circular motions is called
Clear logic. Your choice scumbling is sound and 100% true.
What technique is similar to creating a value scale?
Excellent. Graded wash is a brilliant choice.
Which of these medium do you use in an oil painting?
Exactly. Linseed oil makes sense and it is the right choice. Gestural lines can often express emotion and action.
Smart pick. True is the correct choice.
Does this image have high contrast or line weight? A.
Sharp thinking. A contrast is the right choice.
What technology made animation easier in the 1960s?
Right choice. Computer is the best answer.
What local material can be used in making jewelries? Great thinking. Shell is the right choice. Renaissance artworks were created with perspectives.
Well picked. Yes is the correct answer.
Who is more interested in traveling in the dialogue? Nice work. You chose Sarah and it is correct.
What did Giacometti's sculptures of Isabel resemble?
Good thinking. A rubber band is the right answer.
He is a Filipino painter who painted planting rice.
Nice selection. Fernando Amarsollo is the correct and valid answer.
Lettering is an important element of graphic design.
You're right.
True is the correct answer. What are the three axes used in isometric sketching?
Smart move. Axis, y-axis, z-axis is an accurate answer.
Lines that are not meant to be. Powering love life, Mo?
You chose parallel lines, and it is correct.
Area nearest the viewer in a landscape composition. Good job. Your answer foreground works well here. It is a painting which subject is a specific human.
Nice work. You chose portrait painting, and it is correct.
Any device is sun serving as a source of illumination. Sharp thinking. Light source is the right choice. Which of these shapes does not belong to the class? Correct response. Circle is the most accurate answer.
You should not smooth render pastels, but only blend.
Smart pick. True is the correct choice. This shading technique makes use of parallel lines. Great job. Hatching is the accurate answer. Vertical lines in your object are always drawn dash. Smart move. Vertical is an accurate answer. Which of the following colors is a secondary color? Well reasoned. Green is the correct choice. The artist adds shading to make an object look dash. Nicely done. 3D is a solid answer. If you combine red and blue, the colors become dash. Excellent choice. Purple is the right answer. When storing paintbrushes, they should be stored. On track. Brushes up is the correct answer. Light is blocked by object from hitting the ground. Right again. Shadow is a valid answer. T or F. Printmaking is known as the Queen of Arts. You got it. Your choice false is right. What is the main feature of the sfumato technique? Well picked. Soft, blurred edges is the correct answer. Value created with thin, parallel lines. Perfect. Hatching is the correct choice. What distinguishes one kind of paint from another?
Exactly. The binder makes sense, and it is right choice.
A proportional human adult is how many heads tall? You chose 7.5, and it is correct. Name one drawing technique used to create shading.
Great thinking. Cross-hatching is the right choice.
Ratio between a model drawing and an actual object. Clear logic. Your choice scale is sound and 100% true. Which is known as the ugliest color in the world? Strong choice. Pantone 448C is the right answer. The wet on dry technique is dry paint on wet paper. Solid response. False is a valid choice. Which of the following is not a shading technique? Nice selection. Chiaroscuro is the correct and valid answer. The pictorial drawings most used in architecture. Excellent. Perspective is a brilliant choice. Which of these materials is not a drawing medium? Correct. Watercolor is the right answer. What is the main theme of the document's content? Well done. Technical drawing for welders is the right choice. An acid bath is used in what kind of printmaking? You're right. Etching is the correct answer.
Who is credited for creating Impressionist art?
Bravo. Monet is the answer. What is an artwork made in only one color called? Valid point. Monochromatic is true. What is it called when colors look good together? Right choice. Color harmony is the best answer. It describes the brightness and darkness of color. Good thinking. Value is the right answer. What does the standard abbreviation XL stand for? Exactly. Center line makes sense and it is right choice. Which colors will give you the greatest contrast? Smart move. Red and green is an accurate answer. What medium did traditional Chinese painting use? Well picked. Ink is the correct answer. Which tool is commonly used to blend oil pastels? You chose a towel or finger. And it is correct. What media are most commonly used for still life? You're right. Pencil, paint, charcoal is the correct answer. What term refers to the thick buildup of paint? Great thinking. Duff is the right choice. Dash is the subject matter and message of a work. Right choice. Content is the best answer.
The same dimensions can be shown more than once.
Excellent choice. False is the right answer. What was an important result of the Black Death? Right again. Decline of feudalism is a valid answer. Which pencil grade will create the darkest line? Clear logic. Your choice medicine is sound and 100% true. Shadows made on the ground by objects are called. Good job. Your answer cast shadows works well here. Isometric drawings are drawn at an angle of dash. Nice selection. 30 degrees is the correct and valid answer. Analogous colors are where on the color wheel. Well reasoned. Next to each other is the correct choice. What do we call looking at something from above? Good thinking. Aerial perspective is the right answer. Which word is a key characteristic of surrealism? On track. Juxtaposition is the correct answer. Which of the following is a famous art movement? Great job. Renaissance is the accurate answer. What is an example of a speech therapy activity? Bravo. Practicing tongue twisters is the answer. Symmetry, asymmetry, and radial are types of dash. Correct response. Balance is the most accurate answer. Pictorial drawings are dash dimensional drawing. Excellent. 3 is a brilliant choice. Which software is popular for digital painting? Smart pick. Adobe Photoshop is the correct choice. Which of the following is not a drawing medium? Solid response. Encaustic is a valid choice. Technical drawings do not require drawing tools. Nicely done. False is a solid answer. Which of the following is a type of visual art? Correct. Sculpture is the right answer. Another good title for this story would be Dash. You got it. Your choice, ancient artists, is right. Sculpted lines are used in this type of drawing.
Perfect. Sketch is the correct choice. The part of a scene behind objects in the front. Well done. Background is the right choice. What do we call shapes that have names to them? Nice work. You chose geometric shapes and it is correct. What are the 3 types of pictorial drawings? Sharp thinking, asymmetric, oblique and perspective is the right choice. Which of the following is not a primary color? Valid point. White is true. A dash is usually done with a pencil or crayon. Strong choice. Drawing is the right answer. A bearing is used for what printmaking technique? Excellent. Engraving is a brilliant choice. Photography literally means drawing with light. Sharp thinking. True is the right choice. Tashi is used with what printmaking technique? Good job. Your answer lithography works well here. What is the dot on the horizon line called? Feep. Exactly. Vanishing point makes sense and it is right choice.
Picasso invented an art movement known as dash.
Solid response. Cubism is a valid choice. Adding white to a color makes a color lighter. You're right. True is the correct answer. Not representing or imitating external reality. Nice work. You chose abstract and it is correct. What does Peter mention as one of his hobbies? Smart pick. All options are correct is the correct choice. What are multiple copies of an artwork called? Clear logic. Your choice edition is sound and 100% true. Which art styles influenced Giacometti's work? Right again. Cubism and Surrealism is a valid answer. Oblique drawings are drawn at 45 degrees only. You chose false, and it is correct. What is the main focus of a portrait painting? Well picked. A person is the correct answer. Who is the publisher of the learning material? Correct. Cengage Learning is the right answer. What year did the Spaniards arrive at Panama? Great thinking. 1502 is the right choice. What kind of material that we use in drawing? Valid point. Pencil is true. Techniques in the art of painting except dash. Right choice. Friction is the best answer. Blue, blue, green, green, and yellow equal to green are. You got it. Your choice analogous colors is right. A technique where paint is diluted with water. Nicely done. Washing is a solid answer. What is the primary characteristic of op art? Good thinking. Use of optical illusions is the right answer. Dash is the medium that is made with graphite. Nice selection. Pencil is the correct and valid answer. All wet painting should be stored in the dash. Bravo! Drying rack is the answer. Thea likes dancing. She is good in dash arts. Great job. Performing is the accurate answer. What is the purpose of gesso in art projects? Smart move. To prime surfaces is an accurate answer. He finished painting the Spolarium in 1884.
Well done. Joan Luna is the right choice.
What are the three dimensions of a 3D drawing?
Correct response. Width, depth, height is the most accurate answer.
What does it mean to scale up your drawing?
Strong choice. Make your drawing bigger is the right answer.
Which angle projection do we use in the US? On track. An offer is the correct answer. A full-scale preliminary drawing is known as? Well reasoned. Cartoon is the correct choice. Contour line drawing is most similar to dash. Perfect. Outlining is the correct choice. Which artist is known for pioneering op art? Excellent choice. Bridget Riley is the right answer. This representation of art reflects reality. Excellent choice. None of the above is the right answer. What was Alberto Giacometti most famous for?
Nice selection. Sculptures of people is the correct and valid answer.
The practice of applying paint to a surface. Great thinking. Painting is the right choice. Scroll a curved line that ends with scrolls. Correct. True is the right answer. All views should be in line with each other. Perfect. True is the correct choice. Who typically ruled the Mesopotamian cities? Good job. Your answer, Kings, works well here. Which color would likely come forward most? Smart move. Warm red is an accurate answer. What is the tray for mixing colors of paint? Bravo. Palette is the answer. Why did the Aboriginal create dot paintings? Valid point. To represent the dream time is true. What does adding white to a pure hue create?
You're right. Tint is the correct answer. This part of the object gets the least light.
Solid response. Shade is a valid choice. All angles in similar figures are congruent. On track. True is the correct answer. It is where your drawing or editing occurs.
Strong choice. Canvas is the right answer.
Claude Monet was famous for painting dash.
Nicely done. Landscapes is a solid answer.
What art style was Claude Monet famous for? Clear logic. Your choice Impressionism is sound and 100% true. The two major branches of art are dash art.
Excellent. Visual and non-visual is a brilliant choice.
Which colors are considered primary colors? Well done. Red, yellow, and blue is the right choice. What is the primary tool used in sketching? Right choice. Pencil is the best answer. What type of artist might use a darkroom? Well reasoned. Photographer is the correct choice. What does it mean to draw from observation? Exactly. Draw what you see makes sense, and it is right choice. What is the primary goal of speech therapy? You chose to improve communication skills, and it is correct. What's the best video game console? No cap? You got it. Your choice PS5 is right. The surface on which drawing marks are made.
Smart pick. Ground is the correct choice.
What is triangle blur in Kaliki is used for?
Correct response. Blur plus mixed color is the most accurate answer.
There are two types of oblique projections.
Great job. True is the accurate answer. What is the saturation level of a pure hue? Nice work. You chose 100% and it is correct.
Prehistoric humans made paintings on canvas.
Right again. False is a valid answer.
Using a brush and paint undiluted by water.
Well picked. Dry brush is the correct answer.
What is the primary component of charcoal?
Good thinking. Carbon is the right answer.
Mobiles in art can be standing or hanging.
Sharp thinking. True is the right choice.
In what year was La Femme Visible written?
You got it. Your choice 1930 is right.
In what country did the Renaissance start?
Great thinking. Italy is the right choice.
A shading method that uses parallel lines.
Good job. Your answer hatching works well here. Your level is also called the dash.
Nice work. You chose horizon line and it is correct.
The British Standard Code for drawings is? Exactly, Blend 92 makes sense and it is right choice.
Name a tool in which paint can be applied.
Well done.
Both A and B is the right choice.
The color pink is a dash of the color red.
On track. Tint is the correct answer.
What materials do you have to use to draw?
Clear logic. Your choice pencil, pen, or crayon is sound and 100% true.
This refers to the decorated bamboo arch.
Strong choice. Syncoban is the right answer.
To make a color lighter in watercolor you.
Well picked. Add water is the correct answer.
What do we call the natives of Australia?
Correct. Aboriginal is the right answer.
Green, purple and orange are dash colors.
Sharp thinking. Secondary is the right choice.
You can elaborate portrait in this angle.
Solid response. All of the above is a valid choice.
This substance gives the paint its color.
Right again. Pigment is a valid answer.
A three-dimensional object is called dash.
Valid point. A form is true.
What color is the most attention getting?
Excellent choice. Red is the right answer.
Which of these is not an element of art?
Correct response. Contour is the most accurate answer.
The final offer at an auction is called
Smart move. Winning bid is an accurate answer.
What painting technique uses wet plaster?
Well reasoned. Fresco is the correct choice.
Which painting medium is most sensitive?
Bravo. Watercolor is the answer.
The following is a dry media except dash.
Great job. Cat air is the accurate answer.
A work of art defined by rapid execution.
Nicely done. Gesture drawing is a solid answer.
Watercolor pencils are activated by dash.
You're right. Water is the correct answer. The lightness and darkness of an object. Smart pick. Value is the correct choice. What clay technique did you learn about? Excellent. Pinch pot technique is a brilliant choice. Watercolor paint is dash painting media. Good thinking. Transparent is the right answer. What kind of phone does Mr. Powell own?
Right choice. iPhone 16 is the best answer.
Art can be appreciated in terms of dash. Perfect. All of the above is the correct choice. Which game console does Mr. Powell own? Nice selection. PS7 is the correct and valid answer. It is the most basic method of drawing.
You chose blocking in. And it is correct.
Who said, "The end justifies the means"? Sharp thinking. Machiavelli is the right choice. The site of removing background is dash.
Right again. Remove. BG is a valid answer.
What are traditional molars made out of? Well reasoned. Fabric is the correct choice. Watercolor is more opaque than gouache. Valid point. False is true. What do we call something that repeats? Correct. Pattern is the right answer. True or false? You can use paint to draw? Bravo. False is the answer. Thick buttery layers are known as dash. Nicely done. Duff is a solid answer. Adding white to a color makes it a dash. Great thinking. Tint is the right choice. The name of the Tools panel section. Excellent choice. Painting tools is the right answer. Which ear did Vincent van Gogh cut off?
You're right. Right is the correct answer.
Line is one of the 12 elements of art. Well picked. False is the correct answer. How many views does every object have? Smart move. 6 is an accurate answer. Which of these represents art media? You chose oil pastels, and it is correct. Who wrote the play Romeo and Juliet? Good thinking. William Shakespeare is the right answer. What kind of colors are used in molars? Strong choice. Bright or vibrant is the right answer. The following are finishing tools, dash. Exactly. Paintbrush, sandpaper makes sense, and it is right choice. What does the word Renaissance mean? On track. Rebirth is the correct answer. Which element of art is three-dimensional? Good job. Your answer form works well here. Which word is a synonym for elated? You got it? Your choice, joyful, is right. How would you draw a horizontal line? Right choice. Side to side is the best answer. What is a cartoon primarily used for? Clear logic. Your choice communicating ideas and stories is sound and 100% true. Dash lines help to line up the views.
Correct response. Projection is the most accurate answer.
How many cats does Muzz Johnston have?
Solid response. 3 is a valid choice.
Name one isometric drawing technique.
Nice work. You chose isometric grids, and it is correct.
What can a sketch be translated into? Smart pick. A finished drawing is the correct choice. White space matters in poster design. Well done. Agree is the right choice. The level of your eyes is called the...
Nice selection. Horizon line is the correct and valid answer.
Art, subject matter that looks real. Great job. Representational is the accurate answer. The spatial arrangement of something? Excellent. Form is a brilliant choice. Latest media to be developed is Dash.
Perfect. College is the correct choice.
What is the primary focus of op art? Solid response. To create optical illusions is a valid choice. All paints have 3 basic ingredients. Right choice. Pigments, binder, and solvent is the best answer. How many toes does Mr. Powell have? Right again. Sen is a valid answer. Where did the style movement start? You chose Holland, and it is correct. 3-point perspective is based off of. Good thinking. 3 points is the right answer. What's Mr. Powell's favorite color? Bravo, blue is the answer. A close-up frames the human figure. You got it. Your choice from head to shoulders is right. Should dimension lines have arrows? Exactly. Yes, makes sense, and it is right choice. Which color is not a primary color? Good job. Your answer, purple, works well here. How many sons did Claude Monet had? Smart pick. 2 is the correct choice. Where was block printing developed?
Excellent choice. China is the right answer.
Which is not a principle of design. Valid point. Color is true. What does vernacular writing mean? Strong choice. Everyday language is the right answer. What program is Art Club a part of? On track. ACE is the correct answer.
Where was Alberto Giacometti born?
Nice work. You chose Switzerland, and it is correct. Chuck Close was known for his dash. Nice selection. Large-scale portraits is the correct and valid answer. What did Leonardo da Vinci invent? Well picked. The perspectograph is the correct answer. What does color purple represent? Well reasoned. All of the above is the correct choice. The museum entrance is called Dash. Great job. Foyer is the accurate answer. The Cubist painters explored Dash.
Great thinking. Form, space, perspective is the right choice.
Shapes can be either dash or dash. Perfect. Geometric, organic is the correct choice.
What are the 3 forms of art? Sharp thinking, painting, sculpture, drawing is the right choice. What color are Mr. Powell's eyes?
Smart move. Gold is an accurate answer. Sculpture is artwork that is dash. Clear logic.
Your choice, three-dimensional 3D, is sound and 100% true.
Blue and yellow makes what color? Well done. Green is the right choice.
Prehistoric humans made graffiti? You're right. True is the correct answer. When did contemporary art emerge? Correct response. 1970s is the most accurate answer. What did Monet call his movement? Correct. Impressionism is the right answer. Who made the painting Mona Lisa?
Nicely done. Leonardo da Vinci is a solid answer. What year did Claude Monet died?
Excellent. 1926 is a brilliant choice.
Thinned washes are known as dash. Clear logic. Your choice glazes is sound and 100% true, which is not an element of design. Valid point. Variety is true. Spring curves from side to side. Strong choice. True is the right answer. What country do molars come from?
You chose Panama, and it is correct.
Arts is not a form of expression. Nice selection. False is the correct and valid answer. Can there be surrealism dances? Correct. True is the right answer. The area in and around objects. Sharp thinking. Space is the right choice. There are dash elements of art. Exactly. 7 makes sense and it is right choice. What is hatching? Perfect. Vertical or horizontal lines is the correct choice. Vertical line goes up and down. You got it. Your choice true is right. How many years did Monet lived? Nice work. You chose 86 and it is correct. Which shape is not symmetrical? Excellent choice. A cloud is the right answer. Who's the greatest art teacher? Great job. Mr. Powell is the accurate answer. Dash is another word for color. Bravo. Who is the answer? Sculpture is a form of 3D art. Good job. Your answer true works well here. Pollock's artworks are mainly. Correct response. Drip paintings is the most accurate answer. Identify the correct sentence. Well picked. She doesn't like apples is the correct answer. Sumi ink was created in dash. Smart move. China is an accurate answer. The art of drawings started in. Right choice. Primitive caves is the best answer. What are the secondary colors? On track. Purple, green, orange is the correct answer. What is mark making used for? You're right. To create value is the correct answer. Scratching is another form of. Excellent. Mark making is a brilliant choice. The Renaissance began in dash. Right again? Italy is a valid answer. The plural of still life is. Solid response. Still lifes is a valid choice. What are the primary colors? Well done. Blue, red, yellow is the right choice. What is charcoal made from? Good thinking. Rotted plants is the right answer.
A landscape is a picture of.
Great thinking. The land is the right choice.
Are molars still worn today?
Well reasoned. Yes is the correct choice.
Which is a secondary color?
Nicely done. Orange is a solid answer.
Claude Monet's mother was a.
Smart pick. Singer is the correct choice. Scale factor of 1:2 is dash. Perfect. Reduction is the correct choice. This is a type of sculpture. Excellent choice. All of the above is the right answer. Who painted the Mona Lisa? You chose Leonardo da Vinci, and it is correct.
Which is not a role of art?
Clear logic. Your choice social disconnection is sound and 100% true. Who's Mr. Powell's cousin? Well picked. Mr. Wells is the correct answer. 1 point perspective has.
Great job. 1 vanishing point is the accurate answer.
Which is a primary color? Nice selection. Red is the correct and valid answer.
Secondary colors are dash.
Nice work. You chose orange, violet, green, and it is correct.
The path of a moving dot.
Strong choice. Line is the right answer. Binder pigment vehicle. Exactly. Pastel physical properties make sense, and it is right choice. What is cross-hatching? You're right. Crossed lines is the correct answer. The drawings show depth. You got it? Your choice false is right. Primary colors are dash. Sharp thinking. Blue, red, yellow is the right choice. Variety in art is using. Good thinking. The elements of art is the right answer. Have fear on feedback. Nicely done. Disagree is a solid answer.
How old is Mr. Pyle?
Solid response. 13 is a valid choice. The outline is cold. Great thinking. Contour is the right choice. A paint without color. Correct response. Thinner is the most accurate answer. What is mark making?
On track. Lines, dots, or marks is the correct answer. Design that repeats.
Well reasoned. Pattern is the correct choice. A line has no limits. Excellent. True is a brilliant choice. What is stippling?
Good job.
Your answer, repeated dots, works well here.
A place to see art.
Smart pick. Exhibition is the correct choice. What is scumbling? Right again. Scribbles is a valid answer. What is opacity? Bravo. Transparency is the answer. Claude Monet was correct. European is the right answer.
Yellow plus blue equal to.
Right choice. Green is the best answer. Yellow plus red equal to. Well done. Orange is the right choice.
Red plus blue equal to.
Valid point. Violet is true. Plus 4 equal to. Smart move. Mr. Powell is an accurate answer. how you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format.
Exactly. Contact Narayan Chengder on Facebook makes sense and it is right choice.